Ben Shapiro and Cenk Uygur had a debate at Politicon, and I thought I'd deconstruct a little bit. You're going to be seeing a clip here about taxes. Check it out.
You said the economy grew faster when the top marginal tax rate was 91%. So I'm asking you, why shouldn't the top tax rate or all tax rates be 91%? You seem to be identifying a higher rate of growth with higher taxation. So I'm asking you, on principle, you keep talking about the glories of a mixed economy. So now tell me about the glories of capital. I've heard about the glories of high tax rates. I've heard about the glories of government-provided health care. Now tell me some of the glories of actual capitalism, which is the basis for all the things you're talking. Tell me why it's good.
Okay, so Ben Shapiro here, he's blustered because he has the fact in front of him, like, holy shit, during World War II, the top marginal tax rate was at 91%, and the economy boomed like never seen before in history. What am I going to do? So I'm going to create a straw man. This is the Ben Shapiro tactic that we saw here, was creating a straw man. He all of a sudden goes to, why shouldn't we have the marginal tax rate at 91% now, something Cenk has not advocated for, and also says, it just throws in there, he's like, why not make all tax rates 91%? You keep identifying high tax rates with high growth because you're stating fact, and I'm just a theory guy. Now, here's what the truth is, okay? And Cenk will go on to talk about recirculation with the crowd going after him. So the economy boomed then during World War II with those tax rates. Now, this is always a response because people seem to say that, higher tax rates or high tax rates in general are not good for the economy, but the only empirical data that we have is asserting the exact opposite of what Ben Shapiro says. So what does he do when he's flustered with facts in front of him? He has to create this straw man. Now, what is a marginal tax rate, right? Because all tax rates were not 91% during World War II. The top marginal tax rate was 91%. What is a marginal tax rate? A marginal tax rate is a tax that is put on an amount of money after a certain amount of money is made. So, like, let's say the top marginal tax rate is 50%, and then it's money made after $5 million. If you make $5 million and $1, you will get $1 will be taxed at 50%, while all the other money is taxed at the previous bracket. So you would only get 50 cents out of that dollar over 5 million that you made, and the same thing would go on as you go forth. So I definitely advocate for something around a 50% top marginal tax rate. Because recirculation is key to a very strong economy. What you need is consumers having more money because they're going to spend the money. So the way you keep an economy booming is not by having richer people keep the money. And, he goes on to say that, they put it in banks so people can loan it out to people. Well, clearly it doesn't have nearly as good and actually a poor effect on the economy, because when you can have people who are consumers who are actually spending the money, it far more benefits the economy than some rich people keeping their money in the bank or wherever the fuck they keep it, and the economy starts to slow down and it starts to become a boom and bust. Also, I'd like to say, the glories of a mixed economy is not a 91% or 100% tax rate. All Cenk is advocating for is, number one, a higher marginal tax rate, and also it is in response to the idea that high tax rates make the economy slower, which again is debunked and disproved by the only empirical data that we really look at there. We have the booms going on, the biggest boom we have seen in that time frame that we had those high taxes, and ever since we have never been able to reach that again. I mean, just watch the crowd booing Cenk on the idea of recirculation of money as if it's some kind of leftist theory and not a understood, well-studied economic idea and concept. If that doesn't make you know that the crowd is just totally biased and not open to thinking about anything, you're crazy.
Much away from us. So, for example, the reason why when taxes are higher, it winds up being better for the economy is because it recirculates the money. So if you give it to the rich, this is hilarious. If you're uneducated, please at least don't make it obvious.
This is the most interesting conversation on taxes I've heard.
If you don't know the concept of recirculation of money, then Go look it up.
The problem with Keynesian economics is that it doesn't even work in theory because, again, once you go to the logical extreme, which is remove all of the money from the rich people who are saving all their money and give it to all the poor people to buy hamburgers, that doesn't help the economy or spur the economy. What spurs the economy is a higher level...
Right.
What we are advocating for is not for this massive amount of money, all of it to be taken away to redistribute for hamburgers. What it's doing is making it so that there aren't ultra rich and ultra poor. What you're going to then have is enough money to incentivize people to then go and start new businesses and do all that type of stuff, while also being able to help continue the economy by consumer buying and selling. Okay, Ben Shapiro goes after Keynesian economics here, which is basically a mix of both socialism and capitalism, and he says that it doesn't even work in theory, when the real reality of the case is that social democracies, they absolutely dominate the world when it comes to how economies are doing, and they're always booming every single year. Those are the most countries that do the best, and whether you like it or not, the truth is that the United States is very Keynesian in the way it works. You have a ton of government intervention. You have things like the VA, you have Medicaid and Medicare, and you have public schools, and just you could go on endless things. And this is just a complete lie, and I don't think I've ever seen some crowd eat up such BS so easily, because it's so clearly wrong by empirical data. Again, the key here being empirical data, not theory. And then he goes on to make a defense about trickle-down economics, and it was honestly just a sad right-wing talking point joke here, and Ben Shapiro is very wrong.